The movie opens in 1941, with the Nazis extending their reach into Belarus. Special Nazi units, known as Einsatz Scorpion troops, along with local law enforcement, began a ruthless hunt for Jews. In a span of just 1 week, they massacred 50,000 Jews, while another million were either on the brink of death or being deported. Amidst this chaos, the Bielski siblings, Zeus and Asael, managed to escape capture. They returned home only to find their parents tragically murdered. Their youngest brother, Aaron, had miraculously survived by hiding under the floorboards. The brothers fled to the forest, a place they knew well. There, they were joined by their eldest brother, Tuvia, who had left his own family behind. Now, the 4 Bielski siblings were united. Their survival was largely due to their intimate knowledge of the vast Belarusian wilderness. Aaron soon stumbled upon another group of Jewish survivors in the forest and brought them back to their hideout. To feed the growing group, Tuvia sought assistance from Cossack, a non-Jewish friend of their late father. When local police patrolled the area, Tuvia hid in a shed where he discovered more Jewish survivors. Cossack managed to mislead the local police chief, who was actively hunting Jews, particularly the Bielski family. The police chief was willing to collaborate with the Nazis for a bounty of 500 rubles for each captured Jew. Once the coast was clear, Cossack encouraged Tuvia to bring the other Jewish survivors to safety. The following day, Tuvia learned that it was the local police chief who had murdered their parents. In a fit of rage and revenue, Tuvia killed the police chief and his 2 sons, sparing his wife. As days passed, more Jews found their way to the Bielski camp. They began building a rudimentary camp and dividing tasks to ensure their survival. Among the newcomers were 2 Jewish fugitives, Purites and Jacob, who were desperately seeking food. They hailed from the same area where Zeus's wife and child had lived. Upon learning of his family's demise, Zeus was filled with guilt and sorrow. This fueled his desire for revenge. Driven by this newfound resolve, Zeus, along with Perez, Jacob, Asel, and Tuvia, attacked a nearby village. They killed several villagers who had aided the Nazis in their genocide, as well as a lone Nazi soldier. When a convoy of Nazi vehicles was halted by a fallen motorcycle, they seized the opportunity to attack. Zeus managed to grab an automatic rifle and kill several Nazis. However, their victory was short-lived as a Nazi platoon counterattacked. Pirates and Jacob were shot, and Asel was pursued by several Nazis into the forest. Tuvia and Zeus managed to escape by sabotaging the Nazis' vehicle lights. The deaths of Pirates and Jacob, along with Asael's disappearance, cast a shadow of despair over the group. Zeus was particularly affected when he discovered that a stranger had infiltrated their camp, even though the stranger was also Jewish. The group's survival in the forest was becoming increasingly precarious as their supplies of food and medicine dwindled. As the narrative progresses, Tuvia emerges as a natural leader, persuading the group to collaborate in their shared mission of survival. Tuvia, Zeus, and Ben make a return visit to Cossack's home in search of food, only to discover that the Nazis have murdered Cossack, leaving a sign around his neck branding him a Jew lover. Cossack's widow reveals Asel's hiding place to them, where they find him accompanied by 2 women, Bella and Chaya. They all return to the forest and begin constructing a new camp. Zeus, Asael, and Ben intercept a milkman and seize his supplies. A family from Tuvia's recent past informs him of his wife's death, a revelation met with sympathy from the group. Tuvia accepts the news with fortitude. When a group of policemen, aided by the milkman, start hunting them, the Jewish group hastily abandons their camp and crosses a river. Tuvia, Zeus, and their armed companions hold off the police at the riverbank, opening fire on them and the milkman. Outnumbered and unfamiliar with the terrain, the police eventually retreat. The Jewish group ventures deeper into the forest. During a patrol, Tuvia and Zeus encounter a group of Soviet Red Army partisans. Tuvia explains to their commander that they share a common enemy, the Nazis. The commander agrees to let them go, on the condition that they provide some men to serve as soldiers. The Jewish group finds a new location and starts building a camp again. Every day, more Jewish refugees join them. As their numbers swell, internal conflicts arise between Tuvia, who welcomes the newcomers, and Zeus, who feels overwhelmed. Eventually, Zeus and a few others decide to leave and join the Soviet partisan army. Tuvia and Asael approach another large group of hidden Jewish refugees in the ghetto. After promising them protection, this large group agrees to escape to the forest with them. Upon arriving at the camp, Tuvia explains the survival tactics in the forest, emphasizing that everyone must participate in the work, and they will rebuild a free Jewish life in the Belarusian forest. While Tuvia allows for romantic relationships among the refugees, he forbids anyone from getting pregnant. As the group grows larger, Tuvia changes the way they refer to themselves, calling them a community. Asael and Chaya develop a romantic relationship, and at the onset of winter, they have a wedding ceremony witnessed by the entire community. However, while they are celebrating, Zeus and the Soviet partisans intercept a Nazi convoy and eliminate them. As winter sets in, blanketing the land with snow, food becomes even scarcer. Tuvia is forced to sacrifice his white horse to feed the community. Tuvia shows interest in a woman named Luca, and he gives her his jacket and pistol before she sets off to find food. In the middle of the forest, Luca encounters a wolf, but manages to fend it off with Tuvia's pistol. Meanwhile, disease begins to spread within the community, and their medical supplies are running low. Their only option is to request medicine from the Soviet partisans. Tuvia sets out to do so, initially facing rejection from the partisans. However, Zeus, who still has a lingering connection, works to obtain the medicine, even if it means raiding a Nazi base. Tuvia, who is ill, is asked to wait in the car while Zeus, Ben, and Kransky infiltrate the Nazi base. In the end, Zeus obtains the medicine but gets shot in the process, while Ben and Kransky lose their lives. After obtaining the medicine, a new problem arises regarding food rations. A man named Archie demands a larger share, and rebel followers of Archie begin to betray Tuvia's leadership. Despite the challenges, Tuvia remains undeterred. He takes decisive action by eliminating Archie and asserts his authority by inviting those who disagree with his leadership to leave. Concurrently, Tuvia, who had been incapacitated due to a fever for a couple of days, is observed recuperating. During this period, Luca, who had acquired medical skills at a university, tends to him. As time progresses, spring ushers in, and Tuvia's community marks its arrival with a group photograph. The women in the community seize the opportunity to bathe in the now clear river. Among them, a woman named Tamara stands out as she refrains from joining the others. Luca finds out that Tamara is expecting a child and wishes to keep this information from Tuvia to safeguard her condition. Eventually, Tamara gives birth, and Tuvia discovers the truth. He is irate as Tamara had defied his orders and contemplates expelling her and the child's father. However, Luca intercedes on Tamara's behalf, revealing that the child's father is a Nazi soldier who had assaulted her. Tuvia grudgingly accepts Tamara and her newborn. Yet the onset of spring also signifies an escalation in the persecution of Jews by the Nazis and local law enforcement, who are amplifying their efforts. The narrative then shifts to the capture of a Nazi spy near the camp, who possesses a letter indicating an impending encirclement and assault on the forest. The captured Nazi becomes the focus of the community members' wrath, who express their anger over the brutal demise of their families at the hands of Nazi soldiers. In the comfort of Tuvia's arms, Luca urges him to persist in their struggle, despite the imminent adversities. Simultaneously, at the partisan headquarters, preparations are underway to evacuate the forest to evade the Nazi onslaught. Zeus, however, is conflicted as he is concerned about the safety of his family if the partisans abandon the forest. Nazi reconnaissance aircraft start surveying the forest. Tuvia commands the community to relocate, but before they can set off, German bombers arrive and unleash bombs that devastate their camp. Tuvia's hearing is temporarily affected post the explosion. Once the bombers retreat, Asael directs the survivors to evacuate. He and a few warriors decide to stay back to counter the potential arrival of Nazi ground forces. Treya is adamant about staying to guard as well, but Asael convinces her to leave with the group. Eventually, Tuvia also persuades her to depart. As anticipated, a substantial contingent of Nazi partisans, assisted by local police, launch an attack, leading to a firefight. The Nazi forces employ mortars to dismantle the community's defenses. The community warriors fall one after another, leaving only Asael. Meanwhile, Tuvia oversees the remaining members moving deeper into the forest. Unfortunately, their path is obstructed by a swamp, leading to a debate about whether to cross it. Tuvia, usually resolute, is at a loss in this dire situation. Then, Asael arrives with an injured person and proposes that they bind themselves together and link arms to traverse the swamp. They embark on a challenging journey across the expansive swamp, with Tuvia lending support to an elderly man who is on the brink of exhaustion. They persevere together until they reach the opposite end, but the elderly man succumbs to his fatigue and passes away. Suddenly, they are caught off guard by an unexpected attack from a tank and Nazi infantry emerging from the forest. They seek refuge in a depression in the ground and retaliate. A firefight breaks out, but they are at a disadvantage due to the enemy's tank. In a strategic move, Tuvia and a comrade named Isaac diverge from their path and launch a surprise attack on a group of Nazis. Tuvia seizes a weapon from a Nazi and uses it to take down more soldiers near the tank. They find themselves cornered when the tank's barrel is pointed at them. Isaac is prepared to sacrifice himself to destroy the tank, but he is shot and detonates before reaching his target. Unexpectedly, a group of Soviet partisans who had previously separated from them come to their rescue and eliminate the Nazis. This small group of partisans is led by Zeus, who successfully neutralizes the tank. Following this, Zeus decides to reunite with Tuvia, and they continue their existence in the forest, relocating from one place to another for a total of 2 years until the war concludes. Despite being pursued, their community continues to expand. They establish a school and a hospital within the forest. By the end of the war, they had ensured the survival of 1,200 Jews. Asel enlists in the Soviet army and is killed in action, never getting the chance to meet his child with Chaya. Meanwhile, Tuvia and Zeus survive the war and emigrate to America, where they establish a trucking company in New York City. The film concludes with an epilogue stating that the Bielski brothers never sought acknowledgement for their actions from the descendants of the individuals they saved, who now number in the tens of thousands. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.